So, guys, I just wanted to finish up what I was saying when it comes to Eastern thought versus Western thought. And, you take, for instance, biblical marriage. You look at what does America say about marriage, about biblical marriage? What does the Bible say about biblical marriage? I used an example of how does a country treat its poor um, versus how does the Bible say we're supposed to treat our poor. You can look at so many different things that are way different when it comes to what the Bible has to say and what our culture has to say, our American culture has to say. And I just find it funny is that when we look at these two things and we juxtaposition American way or Hebrew Israelite way, and we see the stark contrast, and what ends up happening is that we start to, if we don't like something on the Hebrew way, excuse me, then all of a sudden we run back to Rome and be like, okay, we want the Roman way. Um, Obviously, the American way is for rugged independence and strike out on your own and every man for himself. And the Hebrew way is community. Even in particular captivities, they lived in community. They tried to be together. Um, even in the book of Acts, they tried to be together, let alone the Old Testament. They tried to be together so that they can be subject one to another. Then you look at, obviously, the idea of being subject one to another. I mean, in America, hey, you know what? I got my rights. I got freedom. Nobody tells me what to do. I'm not subject to anyone. I get it. I get it. I live in America, okay? I get it. But then the Bible and the Hebrew culture, they were subject one to another. They submitted themselves one to another. The young submitted themselves to the older. The all the elders, they got together and they were subject one to another. That's why you had Pharisees, Pharisees and Sadducees and stuff. You had a Sanhedrin, you had a council, because they were subject one to another. Today, not so much. If we have issues, we don't settle our own issues among Israel. We'll run to Rome. I'm not saying I would never uh, run to Rome for anything. I mean, if I need an ambulance, then I'm going to call an ambulance. If I need, the cops, if I see my neighbor, someone's breaking in the house or whatever, yeah, I'll call the cops. Hey, somebody's jumping through the window over there, blah, blah, blah. I get that. But what I'm saying is that some of the matters, some of those matters that Paul was talking about, how come we can't judge among ourselves? Why go to the unjust? We can't do that because we're not subject one to another. Um, this whole idea of being together, being subject one to another, being in community, any of that stuff, it's like, oh, that's a cult. They don't want to do. I'm like, we're so divided. We have such, this mindset, this American mindset just pervades everything that we're trying to do, everything that you're trying to accomplish. We just have this. I don't know, and sometimes we can't even see the difference. There's a huge difference between an Eastern mindset and a Western mindset, and it's hard for people to kind of peel back, the curtain and really see the difference. Just like when you go to read the scriptures, when you are trying to understand, you're trying to interpret, it's hard for the average person to get it because we've been so indoctrinated, with our Christian doctrine. We've been so indoctrinated. It's almost impossible. We go in and we already have a thought in our head, an idea of what the scriptures mean. And therefore, when we see the scripture, no matter what it says what we think it means. Rather than allowing it to give us the meaning through context, through looking up definitions and looking at the etymology of words and things like that. Forget that. Forget that. You can forget that. So that's the difference between that Eastern mindset and a Western mindset. That we simply won't put down our paradigm just for a moment, just for a second, just to say, you know what, let me just put this down for a second, this understanding, this paradigm, Let me let this new information get in and let me process this information. And then let me meditate, let me study on it. We won't do that. We just won't do that. Eastern thought versus Western thought. What I can say is that you're not going to be able to fully interpret, fully understand what an Eastern book has to say with a wholly Western mindset. It's going to be pretty hard. I'll get back to you guys on another video. So wake up, Jacob. It's Israelite Prepper.